Enzymes.
In this laboratory experiment, we would be finding out why do enzymes react differently. The objectives of the experiment are to identify enzymes from varied food sources, recognize the role of enzymes, determine some factors affecting enzymes, and propose a method to identify enzymes consistent with the results determined in the experiment.
Task 1.
For this experiment, we will be using the following materials: apple, pineapple juice, water, measuring cups, spoon, fork, and jars. Before starting the experiment, make sure to wear personal protective equipment such as masks and gloves for safety. For the procedure, first, peel one apple and chop it into small pieces. Add 200 ml of water and place it in a cooking pan. Cover it and set the heat to low. Let it simmer for at least 20 minutes or until the apple looks tender and soft. While on the pan, use the fork to mash and blend the chopped apples into a puree. Measure 5 tablespoons of meat tenderizer powder and transfer it into the empty jar. However, meat tenderizer powder is not available in our local market. That is why we are instructed to use pineapple juice instead. Add 150 ml of water in the jar and mix the solution. Place 3 tablespoons of puree in the container. Then, pour a cup of meat tenderizer solution or the pineapple juice solution and mix it thoroughly. Filter the mixture and wait for 10 minutes. Make sure to dispose the materials used properly. For the observation, the filtrate is slightly thick and opaque. It has a yellowish color and no particles or bubbles are evident. The results in Procedure 1 is very different from Procedure 3. A slightly solid puree was the result of Procedure 1, while a cloudy liquid is the result on Procedure 3.
Task 2.
For this experiment, we will be using the following materials: apple, water, cooking oil, lemon, onion, salt, spoon, and clear containers. For the procedures, first, prepare 10 cubes of apples and make it nearly the same size. Then, prepare and label the covered containers: control, water, oil, lemon or calamansi juice, and sliced onion. Place 2 cubes of apples in each container. Put the different substances on the surfaces of each apple cube. Use a spoon to put lemon juice on the surface of the apple slice. The same goes for the oil. Rub the sliced onion on the surface of the apples.
Create a salt solution by adding 1 teaspoon of salt in half cup of water. Then add 5 teaspoons of salt solution in each container.
Keep all inside the refrigerator overnight. Compare the apple cubes in terms of the browning. Rank them 1 to 5, where 1 is that with extensive browning. Observations. After an overnight stay at the fridge, the sample with lemon juice has the least browning compared to the other 5. Then the sample with onion came next in terms of least browning, followed by the sample with oil and then the control sample. Lastly, the sample with water as the confounding substance was observed to have the most extensive browning out of all samples.
Task 3.
For this experiment, we will be using the following materials: 4 plastic cups, 2 bottles hydrogen peroxide, 1 potato, 1 onion, 1 apple, 1 pack pineapple tidbits, 1 teaspoon salt, 1/2 cup water, spoon, and knife. Make sure to wear personal protective equipment such as masks and gloves for safety. For the procedures, first, put 1/4 cup of hydrogen peroxide in 4 separate plastic cups. Then, cut the potato, onion, apple, and pineapple into cubes. Put a cube of potato in cup 1, cube of onion in cup 2, cube of apple in cup 3, and cube of pineapple in cup 4. Then, add 5 teaspoons of salt solution in each cup. Compare the 4 cubes in terms of the bubbles produced. For the observations, in terms of the bubbles produced, the potato created the most evident bubbles. The onion also showed a number of bubbles, but not as many as the potato. The apple produced little bubbles to none, while the pineapple, on the other hand, did not form any kind of reaction to produce bubbles.
Task 4.
In this experiment, we will be using the following materials: water, measuring spoons, plastic cups, paper tape, scissors, and a marker, hydrogen peroxide, salt, vinegar, baking soda, and strips of potato. Make sure to wear personal protective equipment such as masks and gloves for safety. To start the experiment, first, prepare 4 plastic cups and label it 1 to 4. Put 5 teaspoons of vinegar in cup 1 and put 1 strip of potato. Soak it for 5 minutes. In a separate cup, label and make the baking soda solution by putting 1 teaspoon of baking soda on a half cup of water. Put 5 teaspoons of baking soda solution in cup 2. Put 1 strip of potato and soak also for 5 minutes. Then, put 5 teaspoons of hydrogen peroxide in cups 3 and 4. In a separate cup, label and make the salt solution by putting 1 teaspoon of salt in a half cup of water. Transfer the strip from cup 1 to cup 3. Add 5 teaspoons of salt solution. The potato strip that was soaked for 5 minutes in a 5 teaspoons of vinegar was transferred from cup 1 to cup 3, which contains 5 teaspoons of hydrogen peroxide. Upon adding 5 teaspoons of salt solution in cup 3, a tiny and little amount such that 1 or 2 bubbles were seen in the solution. For step number 5, transfer the strip from cup 2 to cup 4. Add 5 teaspoons of salt solution. The potato strip that was soaked for 5 minutes in a 5 teaspoons of baking soda solution was transferred from cup 2 to cup 4, which contains 5 teaspoons of hydrogen peroxide. Upon adding 5 teaspoons of salt solution, the arising of bubbles were consistently seen and were evident in the solution. It can be viewed like boiling water or like potato being fried in hot cooking oil. After the experiment, make sure to dispose the materials used and clean the table.
Lastly, task 5.
We need fresh milk, 2 glasses, unheated apple juice, heated or warmed apple juice, measuring spoon, 2 spoons, a scissor, and a piece of paper and pen for writing down observations. For safety purposes, never forget putting on personal protective equipment before beginning the experiment, even though the experiment doesn't pose any possible risk. For the procedure, first, prepare 2 glasses of 100 ml fresh milk. Add 1 teaspoon of apple juice to the first glass. Then, add 1 teaspoon of heated or warm apple juice to the second glass. Lastly, stir the solutions and record for the results in 5 minutes. After the experiment is done, make sure to clean the area thoroughly and dispose of used materials properly. They should all go down the drain. In 5 minutes of observation, the first glass of milk mixed with a teaspoon of unheated apple juice produced bubbles that were much larger in quantity and size than the second glass of milk mixed with a teaspoon of heated apple juice, which had minimal tiny bubbles after being stirred. They still have the same consistency, however, when scooped with a spoon, there are many more white, tiny linear, and round particles that emerge on the top surface of the first glass mixture than on that of the second glass. The event that happens on the second glass mixture with a few tiny linear particles explains the idea that the enzyme in the apple juice may have been denatured as due to higher temperatures. The shape of the enzyme active site is disrupted, reducing the enzyme activity or preventing it from working properly.